The acrid stench of plasma burns and scorched earth clung to the air, a grim reminder of the morning's carnage on the alien world of Cryon 5. The battlefield stretched across rust-colored dunes, littered with the broken remains of human and Siren warriors, their bodies a testament to the ferocity of the engagement. Shattered hover tanks and twisted energy cannons lay half buried in sand, some patches fused into jagged glass by the searing discharge of plasma weapons. Construction engineer Edward Kane picked his way through the wreckage, his heavy boots crunching over the crystalline ground, his multi-tool held low but ready for any structural hazards. He'd been contracted to build forward bases for the human forces, welding durasteel frames and reinforcing bunkers under fire, but the retreat had scattered his team, leaving him alone with a failing nav system and pure stubborn instinct to guide him back to the evacuation zone. A faint groan broke the eerie silence. Edward spun, multi-tool raised, his HUD scanning for instability or traps. Behind a mangled piece of what might have been a Siren skimmer, he spotted the source, a female Siren warrior sprawled in the sand. Her pale green skin, shimmering with an ethereal glow despite her blood loss, was marred by burns and gashes. Her black combat suit, form-fitting and designed for agility, was torn, revealing devastating injuries. Both legs ended in cauterized stumps below the knees, likely from a plasma mine. Her silver-white hair, matted with blood and grime, framed a face that was striking even in agony. As Edward approached, her eyes fluttered open, revealing irises like Arctic ice, sharp and defiant. She reached for a weapon that wasn't there, her movement sparking a grimace of pain. "Easy," Edward said, lowering his tool but keeping it ready, his voice calm but firm through his helmet's external speaker. "I'm not here to hurt you." The Siren spat a string of words in her native tongue, which his translator rendered as a colorful curse. Despite the situation, Edward's lips twitched. "Quite a mouth for someone in your position. Kill me or leave human," she growled in accented standard, her voice raw but laced with pride. "I need no pity from your kind." Edward studied her, his engineering mind assessing the damage like he would a collapsed scaffold. Protocol for contractors like him was clear: avoid engagement with Siren, report and retreat. They were the enemy, lethal and untrustworthy, but something stopped him, maybe the fire in her ice-blue eyes or the exhaustion of seeing too many structures and lives crumble without trying to fix them. "What's your name?" he asked instead, surprising himself. She stared, incredulous. "What, your name?" "I'm Edward Kane. Seems polite if I'm about to save your life." "You're insane," she said flatly, but her gaze softened slightly, curiosity flickering. "I am Nura Valor, warrior of the Third Blade Cohort, and you cannot save me. My people have retreated. I am lost." Edward shrugged off his pack, pulling out a field repair kit he'd modified for medical use: nanites for sealing wounds, stabilizers for shock. "Good thing I'm not your people." He knelt beside her, ignoring her skeptical glare as he prepped the nanites to stabilize her blood loss. "Why would you help me?" she asked, her voice sharp but wavering as he injected the nanites. "Because I can," he replied simply, checking the kit's readouts. "And because this war's stupid enough without adding another broken thing to the pile." As he worked, the crimson dusk deepened, casting long shadows over the dunes. Nura's condition stabilized, but she was too weak to move. With a grunt, Edward lifted her, her slight form surprisingly light against his reinforced worksuit's servo-assisted grip. "Hold on," he muttered, more to himself, as his HUD pinged a structure ahead, an ancient construction outpost half buried in the sand, a place to lay low and assess repairs. The outpost's angular ruins loomed, its entrance partially collapsed but navigable. Edward noted the weakened supports, mentally planning reinforcements if needed. Inside, emergency lighting flickered, illuminating dusty welding equipment and preserved chambers filled with abandoned tools, perfect for his trade. Edward set Nura on a clear workbench, spreading thermal blankets and activating portable heaters to counter Cryon 5 bitter night chill. As he secured the perimeter with quick welds on loose panels, Nura stirred, her ice-blue eyes tracking him. "Where are we?" she asked, pushing herself up with effort. "Old construction outpost," Edward said, steadying her. "Safe for now, found it before the tremors got worse." "Tremors?" she asked, her voice sharp with alarm. "Yeah, this place is geologically unstable, abandoned for a reason, probably faulty foundations." He handed her a canteen. "Drink, you've lost a lot of blood." Nura took it with surprising grace, sipping carefully. "You are either the bravest or most foolish human I've met." "I get that a lot," Edward grinned, checking his perimeter sensors. "How are you feeling?" "Like I stepped on a plasma mine," she said dryly, drawing a laugh from him. Her gaze dropped to her stumps, a grimace crossing her face. "I am crippled, useless as a warrior." "Bullshit," Edward said firmly. "Ever heard of cybernetic prosthetics? With the right alloys and welds, you'll be stronger than before. I've built similar for injured workers." "My people we don't augment," she said, hesitating. "It's seen as weakness." "No offense, but that's dumb as hell," Edward replied, scanning the room for usable materials. "Tech's just a tool. Adaptability's what keeps structures and people standing." Nura's eyes narrowed, but a ghost of a smile touched her lips. "You are not what I expected. Your kind are supposed to be savage, bloodthirsty." "Maybe your intel's outdated," Edward said, sitting across from her, close but respectful. "We're not all monsters, just like you're not the emotionless killers your propaganda paints you as." Her smile grew faint but genuine. "Perhaps, though some of our beliefs about human males seem accurate." Her gaze traveled over him, appraising. "Your rugged features, your build appealing in a primal way." Edward nearly choked on his water. "I'm sorry, what?" Nura's smile turned playful. "Did your intelligence not mention many Siren find human males desirable?" Especially fine specimens like you with hands that build instead of destroy. His face heated and he coughed, trying to regain composure. That's a new intel. Her laugh, musical and unexpected, broke the tension, but a distant rumble shook the outpost, dust raining from the ceiling, both tensed, instincts flaring. Artillery, Nura asked, reaching for a non-existent weapon. No, Edward said, checking his HUD. Seismic, this place's foundations are shot. Another tremor hit, stronger, loosening debris. We need to move deeper. Nura glared at her stumps, frustration evident. Without a word, Edward scooped her up, her arms wrapping around his neck. My hero, she purred, her tone teasing but warm, sending a shiver through him. Behave, warrior princess, he growled, earning another laugh as he carried her into the outpost's depths. A third tremor hit, the strongest yet, collapsing the outer chamber. Edward shielded Nura, his suit's shields flaring to deflect debris. When the dust settled, they were trapped in a small, blue-lit chamber, oxygen levels dropping. Cozy, Edward coughed, checking diagnostics. Your talent for understatement is remarkable, Nura said, pressed close, her breath warm against his neck, her tone shifted, sultry. Though I can think of worse situations than being trapped with a handsome human builder. Edward's pulse quickened. You're injured, he reminded her and himself. We need to focus on getting out. My injuries are stable thanks to your nanites, she countered, trailing a finger along his jaw. Siren handles stress differently. We embrace life fully, especially in danger. Her ice-blue eyes locked onto his, heat in their depths. Let me show you how we express gratitude. Nura, he breathed, fighting desire as she nuzzled his neck. His HUD blared oxygen at 2 hours. Air running out. There's a maintenance shaft behind that panel. I can weld it open. She sighed, all business again. Then we find it unless you want our first kiss to be our last. He grinned despite the situation. Already planning to kiss me. Oh, I'm planning more than that, she purred, her smile wicked. They pried open the panel, revealing a narrow tunnel. Edward crawled through, Nura clinging to his back, her helpful adjustments deliberately distracting. You're doing this on purpose, he growled. Of course, she admitted. Considerate motivation. Shaft led to a pristine fabrication bay, its equipment intact, military-grade welding and cybernetics lab. Edward set Nura on a workbench, scanning the gear. This could build you new legs. I've got engineering training and I've fabricated prosthetics for injured workers before. Nura's eyes widened. You do this despite your contracts against sharing tech. I made a choice when I saved you, he said, meeting her gaze. No half measures. She pulled him closer, her fingers tracing his jaw. There's something you should know about siren physiology. Neural bonding during cybernetic integration, it synchronizes our bioelectric fields. Temporarily we'll feel what the other feels, every sensation, every touch. Edward swallowed hard. That's intense. It's intimate, she murmured, her lips closed. Like a marriage for some. Are you ready, Edward Kane? Instead of answering, he kissed her, the contact electric, sparking waves of sensation. When they parted, both breathless, she purred, I'll take that as a yes. Hours later, Edward calibrated sleek cybernetic legs, their alloys gleaming. Each neural connection intensified their bond, sharing desire, pain, and something deeper. As the prosthetics came online, Nura gasped, her new legs responding fluidly. I feel everything, she breathed, pulling him into another searing kiss. What followed was a passionate exploration, their neural link a loop of shared pleasure. They collapsed, tangled together, the bond humming. Nura traced his chest. My people have legends of builders from the stars bringing change. I never thought it'd be a stubborn human. Edward grinned. Best decision I ever made. Alarms blared, human and siren squads approaching, drawn by the fabrication bay's power surge. Perfect timing, Nura said dryly, grabbing a plasma rifle from an emergency locker. Her new legs hummed, predatory grace in her movements. Ready to fight at my mate's side. She purred, pressing against him. Insatiable, he growled, kissing her fiercely. Let's give them a welcome. They rigged the bay for defense, Edward welding sonic stunners into place, Nura tracking life signs via scanners. Their neural link made them a seamless unit, anticipating each move. The human squad breached first, led by Foreman Reynolds. Kane, you're alive, he shouted, then froze, seeing Nura. You're harboring a siren, my mate, Edward corrected, feeling Nura's pride through their bond. And she's carrying my child. The siren commander, Lady Fenra, emerged from the other entrance, her voice cold. Consorting with a human builder, Nura Valor. I chose well, Nura shot back, her rifle steady. A mate who saw my worth beyond wounds, who built me legs in his heart. Chaos erupted, both squads attacked. Edward and Nura fought as one, their neural link making them unstoppable. Dunblast disabled attackers with precision, Nura's cybernetic speed dazzling, Edward's engineering experience guiding traps and reinforcements. When the dust settled, both squads were unconscious but alive. Reynolds stirred first, awed. You moved like one person in two bodies. That's what we are, Nura said, perched on the workbench, her legs crossed gracefully. Our bond is permanent, a marriage of minds and hearts. Siren medics verified the link, and Lady Fenra's skepticism softened. The child will be the first of her kind, she declared, nodding a birthmark on Nura's shoulder, a prophecy mark of unity. Edward grinned. That'll complicate things. Nura's joy flowed through their bond. You didn't just save me, Edward, you set the prophecy in motion. The fabrication bay of the ancient construction outpost on Cryon 5 hummed faintly, its preserved machinery casting a sterile glow across the chamber where Edward Kane and Nura Valor had taken refuge. The air was thick with the scent of ozone from activated welding tools and the faint metallic tang of recycled oxygen, the outpost's outdated systems struggling to maintain stability amidst the planet's geological tremors. The walls, lined with racks of abandoned durasteel plates and fabrication drones, bore the scars of hasty abandonment, tools left mid-task, half-welded frames leaning precariously. Outside, the rust-colored dunes of Cryon 5 stretched under a crimson dusk, the twin suns sinking below the horizon, their light refracting through glassy patches of sand fused by plasma discharges. The outpost's reinforced dome vibrated subtly with each tremor, a reminder of the planet's unstable core, but for now it held, a testament to the engineering prowess Edward had spent his career hunting. Edward stood at a workbench, his rugged frame bent over a diagnostic console as he recalibrated the cybernetic legs he'd fabricated for Nura. His worksuit, patched from the day's chaos, was smudged with welding flux, its servo assist whirring softly as he adjusted a micro-welder. His green eyes, sharp with focus, darted between the console's readouts and the sleek alloyed prosthetics now seamlessly integrated with Nura's physiology. As a construction engineer, he'd built bunkers under fire, welded orbital scaffolds in zero-G, and repaired collapsing mineshafts on frontier worlds, but crafting these legs, merging human tech with siren biology, was a new kind of challenge, one that stirred both his professional pride and something deeper. The neural link established during the integration still hummed faintly, a shared current of sensation that made every glance at Nura feel like a spark igniting. Nura perched on the edge of another workbench, testing her new legs with fluid, predatory grace. Her pale green skin shimmered under the bay's blue lighting, her silver-white hair now cleaned and braided with precision, each strand catching the glow like polished metal. Her black combat suit, repaired by the outpost's auto-fabricator, hugged her form, accentuating her lithe strength. She moved experimentally, her cybernetic legs responding with inhuman speed, and a faint smile curved her lips as she felt Edward's focus through their neural bond. "These legs are remarkable," she said, her voice carrying the melodic cadence of Siren's speech, softened by a warmth she reserved for him. "You've not only restored me, Edward Kane, but made me stronger. My people would call this blasphemy, yet I feel whole." Her ice-blue eyes met his, a flicker of gratitude and something more desire perhaps passing through their link. Edward grinned, setting down his welder. "Told you tech's just a tool. Those alloys are military grade, same as I'd use for a bunker frame. You're not just a warrior now, you're a walking fortress." He stepped closer, feeling her pulse through their bond, a mix of pride and amusement. "Though I gotta admit, seeing you move like that's distracting." Nura's smile turned predatory, her fingers brushing his arm, sending a jolt through their shared connection. "Is it, perhaps I should test these legs further in other ways?" Her tone was teasing, but the heat in her gaze was unmistakable, amplified by the neural link that made every touch resonate between them. Before Edward could respond, the bay's alarms blared, a piercing wail that cut through their moment. His HUD lit up with alerts, multiple life signs converging on the outpost, human and siren signatures likely drawn by the power surge from the fabrication equipment. Nura's hand snapped to the plasma rifle she'd claimed from the locker, her new legs shifting into a combat stance with eerie precision. "Our guests arrive early," she said drily, her voice all business but tinged with excitement. "Ready to fight at my side, my builder." Edward grabbed his multi-tool, switching it to a plasma torch setting, a welder's weapon capable of cutting through steel or stunning an enemy. "Insatiable," he muttered, but his grin matched hers as he felt her resolve through their bond. "Let's make this place a fortress." They moved in sync, their neural link a seamless thread of anticipation and strategy. Edward welded sonic stunners into the bay's entrance, reinforcing the frame with quick, precise arcs that sealed weak points. Nura hacked the outpost scanners, her fingers dancing over a console as she tracked the approaching squads. "Two groups," she reported. "Humans from the north, siren from the east. They're not coordinating, likely separate patrols." "Good," Edward said, welding a durasteel plate into a makeshift barricade. "Divide and conquer, we hold here, use the choke points." His engineering mind mapped the bay like a construction site, identifying structural advantages, narrow corridors, elevated platforms, and a secondary exit he could weld open if needed. The human squad breached first, led by Foreman Reynolds, Edward's old crew chief from a Martian orbital project. "Kane, you're alive," Reynolds shouted through the dust, his work suit bulky with construction gear. His eyes widened at Nura, her rifle trained on him. "You're with a siren." "My mate," Edward said firmly, feeling Nura's pride pulse through their bond. "And she's carrying my child." Reynolds froze, his crew lowering their tools, makeshift weapons like Edward's. "You're what, Kane? That's treason." Before Edward could respond, the siren squad breached the east entrance, led by Commander Tissa, a tall warrior with jet black hair and eyes like molten silver. "Nura Valor," she hissed in siren, her translator rendering the words cold. "Consorting with a human builder. You disgrace the third blade." "I chose well," Nura shot back, her rifle steady, legs humming with power. "A mate who rebuilt me, who saw my worth beyond wounds. Can your honor say the same?" Chaos erupted as both squads attacked, caught off guard by the bonded pair's unity. Edward and Nura fought as one, their neural link making them a devastating force. Edward welded traps mid-battle, collapsing a ceiling panel to block the siren advance, fusing a door to trap human flankers. Nura's cybernetic speed was a blur, her shots precise, stunning rather than killing. Through their bond, Edward felt her exhilaration, her warrior's spirit thriving in the fight. Matched by his own drive to protect and build, When the dust settled, both squads lay stunned, unharmed, but incapacitated. Reynolds stirred first, groaning. You two moved like one damn machine. What the hell, Kane? Our bond, Nura said, standing tall, her legs gleaming. A marriage of minds and hearts permanent through neural synchronization. She gestured to her abdomen. Our child is proof human and Siren can unite. Tissa's stirring glared but softened as Siren medics scanned Nura, confirming the bond and pregnancy. A birthmark on Nura's shoulder, a swirling pattern of green and silver, drew a gasp. The mark of unity, Tissa whispered. The prophecy speaks of a child to end our war. Edward smirked, feeling Nura's joy through their link. Guess we're complicating things. You've done more than that, Nura murmured, her hand finding his. You've set the stars on a new course. The outpost's tremors grew stronger, forcing a quick decision. Reynolds and Tissa, shaken by the bond and prophecy, agreed to escort them to a neutral station, Aurora, for peace talks. Edward welded the secondary exit open, securing their escape route, while Nura carried Luma's biocontainer, salvaged from the battlefield, its faint glow a reminder of her past mission to study alien flora. As they boarded a salvaged Siren skimmer, Edward felt the weight of their choice, a builder and a warrior forging a future from the wreckage of war. Aboard the skimmer en route to Aurora, the neural link deepened their connection. In quiet moments, Nura taught Edward about Siren culture, its reverence for natural perfection now challenged by her cybernetics. He shared stories of welding under fire, building bridges on frontier worlds, and the satisfaction of creating something lasting. Their nights were electric, the bond amplifying every touch, every whispered promise. You're my foundation, she murmured one night, her fingers tracing his scars. And you're my spark, he replied, their kiss a fusion of worlds. Aurora loomed, a glittering station of trade and diplomacy, its spires piercing the void. Disguised to avoid scrutiny, they prepared for the talks, but Tissa revealed a complication. A rogue Siren faction, the Blade of Purity, opposed peace and sought Nura's death for her betrayal. Edward's engineering mind kicked in, planning defenses for the conference chamber, a welded barricade, rigged scanners, and traps. Nura, her warrior instincts sharp, trained with her new legs, their bond a weapon no enemy could predict. As they stepped into Aurora's chamber, hand in hand, the delegations, human and Siren, stirred. Nura's pregnancy and cybernetics were a living challenge to centuries of hate. Through their bond, Edward felt her resolve matched by his own. They weren't just survivors, they were builders of a new galaxy. The neutral station Aurora hung in the void like a beacon of fragile hope, its towering spires of durasteel and transparent alloys glinting under the light of a distant binary star system. A hub of interstellar diplomacy and trade, Aurora's concentric rings bustled with activity. Merchant freighters docking with exotic cargo, diplomats in flowing robes navigating crowded concourses, and black market dealers whispering deals in shadowed alcoves. The air was a heady mix of recycled oxygen, alien spices, and the faint ozone tang of energy shields that kept the station's artificial atmosphere intact. Hollow screens flickered with news of galactic tensions, skirmishes in the Outer Veil, economic sanctions on rogue corporations, and now whispers of a human-Siren hybrid child sparking debate across systems. For Edward Kane and Nura Valor, the station was both a sanctuary and a battlefield, their presence a spark that could ignite peace or war. Inside their temporary quarters, a Spartan module overlooking Aurora's central spire, Edward stood at a workbench, his calloused hands adjusting a portable fabricator he'd salvaged from the Cryon 5 outpost. His work suit, patched and smudged with welding flux, hung loosely over his muscular frame, its servo assists whirring softly as he calibrated a set of micro-drones for perimeter defense. As a construction engineer, he'd built fortified bunkers on war-torn worlds and orbital platforms under pirate fire, but this mission required a different kind of construction, a foundation for peace built on the fragile bond he shared with Nura. His green eyes flicked to her, feeling her presence through their neural link, a constant hum of shared sensation, her emotions a warm current beneath his own resolve. These drones'll give us eyes on the conference chamber, he said, his voice steady but tinged with the weight of their situation. If the Blade of Purity makes a move, we'll see them coming. Nura stood by the viewport, her pale green skin catching the starlight, her silver-white hair braided tightly with bioluminescent beads that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. Her black combat suit, now modified to accommodate her pregnancy, hugged her form, the cybernetic legs Edward had crafted gleaming with sleek alloys. In her arms, she cradled Luma, the sentient plant salvaged from Cryon 5, its bioluminescent fronds pulsing softly in response to her touch. Her ice-blue eyes, sharp with a warrior's vigilance, softened as she felt Edward's focus through their bond. Your ingenuity never ceases to amaze me, she said, her melodic Siren accent laced with warmth. On my world, warriors fight with blades and plasma. You fight with tools, building solutions from chaos. She stepped closer, her hand brushing his, sending a spark through their link. It's intoxicating, Edward grinned, setting down his fabricator. Careful, warrior princess, keep talking like that and we'll never make it to the peace talks. Laugh, musical and bright, echoed in the small space, but the neural link carried a deeper current, desire, trust, and a shared determination to protect their unborn child, the prophecy-marked hybrid who could change everything. Their moment was cut short by a sharp ping from Edward's console, Foreman Reynolds, their human ally, signaling from the station's security hub. Kane Valor, we've got trouble, Reynolds' voice crackled through the comm. Blade of Purity operatives were spotted in the lower docks. They're cloaked, but our scanners picked up siren biosignatures. Tissa's team is locking down the upper levels, but you need to prep for an ambush. Nura's expression hardened, her hand tightening around Luma's biocontainer. They will not forgive my bond with a human, she said, her voice low. The Blade of Purity believes augmentation and cross-species unions are abominations. They'll kill us both and our child. Through their neural link, Edward felt her fury, tempered by a fierce protectiveness that mirrored his own. Then we build a defense they can't break, Edward said, his engineer's mind already mapping the terrain. He pulled up a hollow schematic of Aurora's conference chamber, a vast circular hall with elevated platforms and reinforced walls designed for high-stakes diplomacy. We can fortify the entry points, weld traps, and use Luma's frequencies to jam their cloaking tech. You up for a fight, Nura? Her smile was predatory, her cybernetic legs humming as she shifted into a combat stance. Always my builder. The link pulsed with her exhilaration, a warrior's thrill at the prospect of battle, matched by Edward's calm resolve to protect their future. The next hours were a flurry of preparation. Edward welded durasteel plates into choke points, rigging sonic traps with his multi-tools plasma torch setting. Nura worked with Luma, decoding its neural signals to amplify its counter-frequency emissions, which could disrupt siren cloaking implants, a discovery that made her pause, marveling at the plant's sentience. It's learning from us, she murmured, her fingers brushing its fronds, like our child will. Edward felt her awe through their bond, a reminder of the life they were fighting for. Reynolds and Commander Tissa joined them in the conference chamber, their squads uneasy but united by the shared goal of peace. Tissa, her jet-black hair tied back, eyed Nura's cybernetics with a mix of respect and unease. Your bond challenges our traditions, she admitted, her silver eyes narrowing. But the prophecy mark cannot be ignored. The High Council is intrigued, but the Blade of Purity will stop at nothing to erase you. Reynolds, his construction gear clanking, nodded. Same on our side. The human brass is split. Some see your kid as a diplomatic win, others as a threat. We've got your back, Kane, but this'll be a hard sell. The peace talks began under a tense atmosphere, the chamber filled with human and siren delegations, their postures rigid with centuries of distrust. Edward and Nura stood at the center, hand in hand, their bond a visible defiance, her pregnancy evident, his worksuit a stark contrast to her sleek combat gear. Luma's container rested on a podium, its glow a silent witness. Human Chancellor, a stern woman with gray-streaked hair, addressed them. Your union is unprecedented. A hybrid child could shift the war's course, but it risks inflaming both sides. The Siren High Priestess, her robes shimmering with bioluminescent threads, nodded. The prophecy speaks of unity, but the Blade of Purity calls it heresy. Prove your bond's worth, Nura, valor, or face judgment. Before Edward could respond, the chamber's alarms blared, cloaked Blade operatives breaching the lower levels. Chaos erupted as plasma bolts lit the darkness, the attackers' cloaks flickering under Luma's counter-frequencies. Edward and Nura moved as one, their neural link a symphony of instinct and precision. Edward welded a collapsing platform to trap attackers, his torch cutting through their armor like butter. Nura's cybernetic speed was a blur, her rifle stunning operatives with surgical accuracy. Reynolds' crew reinforced the barricades, while Tissa's warriors flanked the enemy, their blades clashing with plasma-sharpened edges. Through their bond, Edward felt Nura's exhilaration, her warrior's spirit thriving, but a sharp pain spiked her contractions beginning. Not now, she gasped, clutching her abdomen, but her resolve held. Edward shielded her, welding a durasteel shield mid-battle, his voice steady through their link. Stay with me, Nura, we've got this. The Blade leader, a towering siren with crimson tattoos, lunged at Nura, screaming of purity. Edward tackled him, fusing his weapon to slag, while Nura's counter-frequency blast disabled his cloak. Tissa subdued him, her expression grim. This ends now. As the attackers were restrained, Nura's contractions intensified. Edward carried her to a medical bay, human and siren medics working together a first. Through their link, Edward shared her pain and joy, feeling their daughter's presence. The birth was swift, their child emerging with pale green skin, silver-brown hair, and eyes that shifted between ice blue and hazel, a perfect hybrid. A birthmark on her shoulder, a swirling prophecy mark, drew gasps from the medics. She's hope, Nura whispered, her voice trembling with love. Edward felt it through their bond, a flood of warmth that anchored him. The peace talks resumed, transformed. Hope's existence, verified by scanners, silenced skeptics. The Chancellor and High Priestess agreed to a ceasefire with Edward and Nura as ambassadors, but the Blade of Purity's threat lingered, their leaders vowing retribution from the shadows. That night in their quarters, Edward and Nura held hope, their bond humming with shared joy. You built more than legs, Nura murmured, kissing him. You built a future. And you fought for it, Edward replied, their link amplifying every touch. As Aurora's stars shone, they knew their work building peace, fighting shadows was just beginning. The peace talks on Aurora had transformed from a tense standoff into a whirlwind of cautious optimism. The station's grand conference chamber, now a hub of interstellar negotiation, where human and siren delegations mingled for the first time in generations. The chamber itself was a marvel of engineering. A vast domed space with reinforced durasteel walls etched with holographic star maps, elevated platforms for speakers, and a central podium where Luma's biocontainer rested, its soft glow symbolizing the fragile bridge between worlds. The air hummed with the low buzz of translators and comm devices, scented with the mix of human coffee and siren herbal infusions, a sensory reminder of the cultures clashing and converging. Overhead, massive viewports framed the binary stars, their light casting shifting patterns across the floor, much like the shifting alliances below. Edward Kane stood at the chamber's edge, his construction engineer's mind assessing the structural integrity of the platforms he'd reinforced earlier, welding additional supports to handle the increased foot traffic and potential threats. His work suit, now clean but still bearing faint weld scars, felt out of place amid the diplomat's robes and uniforms, but his presence was essential. As Nura's mate and Hope's father, he was a living embodiment of the unity they sought. His green eyes scanned the room, alert for anomalies, his multi-tool holstered at his side, a welder's weapon ready to build or defend. Through the neural link with Nura, he felt her steady calm, a warm current that anchored him amid the chaos. Their bond, forged in the fires of Cryon 5 and strengthened through Hope's birth, was a constant hum of shared sensation, her emotions intertwining with his like perfectly fused alloys. Nura moved through the crowd with predatory grace, her cybernetic legs humming softly beneath her modified black combat suit, now adorned with diplomatic insignia, a blend of Siren warrior crests and human engineering symbols. Her pale green skin shimmered under the chamber's lights, her silver-white hair braided intricately, each bead pulsing with bioluminescent energy that echoed Luma's glow. In her arms she carried Hope, their hybrid daughter, whose shifting eyes, ice blue to hazel and swirling birthmark, drew odd whispers from both sides. Nura's ice blue eyes met Edward's across the room, a spark of affection passing through their link. "Our little bridge is stealing the show," she murmured mentally, her voice a teasing caress in his mind. Hope cooed, her small hand grasping Luma's container, the plant's fronds responding with a gentle pulse as if recognizing the child as kin. Edward grinned internally, sending back a wave of love. "She's got your charm and my stubbornness, perfect for diplomacy." But beneath the warmth, he felt Nura's underlying tension. The blade of Purity's threat loomed like a structural flaw in a load-bearing wall, ready to collapse everything they'd built. Foreman Reynolds approached, his bulky construction gear clanking, a datapad in hand. "Kane, we've got updates on the blade," he said lowly, glancing at nearby delegates. "Tissa's scouts intercepted comms. They're planning a strike during the signing ceremony, cloaked operatives, possibly with biodisruptors to target hybrids like Hope." Edward's jaw tightened, his engineer's mind already mapping countermeasures. "We'll reinforce the podium, weld in energy dampeners. And get Tissa's warriors on the upper platforms for overwatch." Reynolds nodded, clapping Edward's shoulder. "You're building more than structures here, Kane, you're building peace." Commander Tissa, the Siren warrior with jet-black hair and silver eyes, joined them, her presence commanding respect. "The High Priestess is intrigued by Luma," she said, her voice clipped but approving. "Its sentience could be a key to neutralizing the Blade's weapons. They use bioengineered toxins, if your plant can counter them." Nura nodded, her hand brushing Hope's hair. "Luma learns from us. With Edward's fabrication skills, we can integrate its frequencies into the chamber's defenses." Through their link, Edward felt her pride in him, a warmth that fueled his determination. The signing ceremony began under heightened security, the chamber filled with delegates from both sides. The human chancellor and Siren High Priestess stood at the podium, Luma's glow illuminating the treaty, a document outlining ceasefire terms, shared technology, and hybrid rights. Hope, in Nura's arms, cooed softly, her presence a living symbol. Edward stood guard, his multi-tool ready, scanning for threats. The attack came midway through the speeches, a shimmer in the air as cloaked blade operatives materialized, their biodisruptors humming with lethal energy. Screams echoed as toxins released, targeting hybrids and bonds. Chaos erupted, delegates scrambling, but Edward and Nura moved as one, their neural link a symphony of precision. Edward welded a collapsing platform to trap an attacker, his torch cutting through their cloak like paper. Nura's cybernetic speed was a blur, her rifle stunning operatives while shielding Hope, Luma's fronds pulsing to counter the toxins, a natural shield amplified by their bond. Reynolds' crew reinforced barricades, welding doors shut against reinforcements, while Tissa's warriors engaged in blade-to-blade combat, their Siren agility matching the blade's fanaticism. "They're targeting the podium," Tissa shouted, her silver eyes flashing. Edward lunged, fabricating a durasteel shield mid-battle, his welder's arc fusing debris into a barrier. Nura covered him, her shots precise, but a disruptor bolt grazed her leg, sparking pain through their link. Edward felt it like his own, fueling his rage. "Nura," he roared, welding the attacker's weapon to slag. "I'm fine," she sent back, her voice steady despite the pain. "Protect Hope." Their daughter cried, Luma's glow intensifying, neutralizing the toxins around them, a symbiotic defense born of their family's unique fusion. The blade leader, a scarred Siren with crimson tattoos, broke through, lunging at Nura with a bioblade. "Abomination," he snarled. Edward tackled him, fusing his armored joints with a quick weld, immobilizing him. Tissa subdued the rest, her warriors turning the tide. As the attackers were restrained, the chamber fell silent, the treaty intact. The Chancellor addressed the assembly. "This attack proves the need for unity. Kane and Valor's bond saved us all." The High Priestess nodded, her robes shimmering. "The prophecy unfolds, we stand with them." In the aftermath, Edward repaired Nura's leg in a medical bay, their links sharing the pain and relief. "You built our victory," she murmured, pulling him close. Their kiss was electric, Hope cooing beside Luma, whose fronds wrapped protectively around the child. But the Blade's defeat revealed a larger threat, a hidden alliance with rogue human factions plotting to reignite the war. We need to expose them, Edward said, his engineer's mind planning the next structure, a network of allies across systems. Nura smiled, her hand on his. Together, my builder will forge an unbreakable alliance. The family departed Aurora on a fortified shuttle, Hope and Luma symbols of hope, their bond a foundation for the galaxy's future. The fortified shuttle, dubbed Starforge by Edward Kane for its hastily welded armor plates and reinforced hull, cut through the void toward the neutral system of Thalera, a cluster of habitable moons orbiting a gas giant in the midrim. Thalera was a haven for exiles, traitors, and those seeking to escape galactic conflicts, its moons dotted with domed settlements carved into crystalline cliffs and lush biodomes sustained by advanced terraforming. The shuttle's interior hummed with the low thrum of its engines, the air heavy with the scent of recycled oxygen, scorched metal from Edward's recent welds, and the faint organic musk of Luma, the sentient plant cradled by Nura Valor. The viewports revealed a swirling nebula, its violet and gold hues a stark contrast to the war-torn Cryon 5 and the diplomatic chaos of Aurora. Thalera was their next step, a place to rally allies, expose the rogue human-Siren alliance threatening their fragile ceasefire, and protect their daughter Hope, the hybrid child bearing the prophecy mark of unity. Inside the Starforge's cramped command bay, Edward stood at a makeshift workbench, his work suit smudged with fresh welding flux, his green eyes focused on a hollow schematic of Thalera's primary moon, Thalera Prime. His multi-tool, a welder's lifeline, lay beside a set of microdrones he was upgrading with Luma's counter-frequency tech to detect cloaked blade of purity operatives. As a construction engineer, Edward had built fortified outposts on frontier worlds and repaired collapsing orbital docks under fire, but this mission demanded more than physical structures. It required building a coalition to reshape the galaxy. Through his neural link with Nura, he felt her steady presence, a warm pulse of resolve and love that grounded him. These drones will give us an edge, he said, adjusting a sensor array. If the Blade or their rogue human allies try to infiltrate Thalera Prime, we'll spot them before they strike. Nura sat across from him, her pale green skin shimmering under the bay's dim lighting, her silver-white hair braided tightly with bioluminescent beads that pulsed in sync with Luma's fronds. Her black combat suit, now adorned with both Siren warrior crests and human engineering patches, hugged her form, her cybernetic legs gleaming with the alloys Edward had crafted. Hope slept in a cushioned cradle beside her, her tiny face pale green with silver-brown curls, peaceful, her shifting eyes closed but marked by the prophecy's swirling birthmark on her shoulder. Nura's ice-blue eyes met Edward's, a spark of affection passing through their bond. Your mind never stops building, she said, her melodic Siren accent soft but laced with pride. On my world, warriors carve paths with blades, you carve them with tools and vision. She reached out, her hand brushing his, sending a jolt of warmth through their link. It's a strength I never knew I needed. Edward grinned, setting down his tool. Careful, warrior princess, keep talking like that and I'll start welding us a private dome instead of defenses. Her laugh, bright and musical, filled the bay, but their bond carried a deeper current, desire, trust, and a shared mission to protect hope and forge peace. Their moment was interrupted by a calm ping from Foreman Reynolds, now stationed on Thalera Prime's main settlement, New Haven. Kane Valor, we've got intel, Reynolds' voice crackled, his tone urgent. The Rogue Alliance, Blade of Purity, and a human splinter group called the Iron Covenant are planning to sabotage the Thalera summit. They're smuggling biodisruptors and cargo shipments disguised as medical supplies. Tissa's team caught one of their scouts, but they're already embedded in the settlement. Nura's expression hardened, her hand tightening around Hope's cradle. The Blade will not forgive our union nor Hope's existence, she said, her voice low. And the Iron Covenant, humans who fear hybrids as much as the Blade fear impurity. They'll target New Haven's biodomes to destabilize the summit. Through their link, Edward felt her fury, a warrior's fire tempered by maternal protectiveness. Then we build a fortress they can't crack, Edward said, his engineer's mind mapping New Haven's layout, domed habitats, interconnected tunnels, and a central council chamber. We fortify the biodomes, integrate Luma's frequencies into the security grid, and rig traps for their disruptors. You ready for another fight, Nura? Her smile was predatory, her cybernetic legs humming as she stood, cradling hope. Always my builder. Their bond pulsed with her exhilaration, a warrior's thrill matched by Edward's resolve to construct a future for their daughter. The Starforge docked at New Haven under tight security, its patchwork hull blending with the settlement's eclectic architecture, domes of transparent alloy and carved crystal, sustained by geothermal reactors. The air was humid, scented with engineered flora, a stark contrast to Cryon 5 barren dunes. Disguised as traitors to avoid attention, Edward and Nura moved through crowded markets, Hope concealed in a sling against Nura's chest, Luma's container hidden in Edward's pack. Reynolds and Commander Tissa met them in a secure workshop, a cavernous space filled with welding rigs and fabrication drones, Edward's element. Tissa, her jet-black hair tied back, eyed Luma's glow with fascination. This plant's sentience could counter the biodisruptors, she said. The Blade's toxins target hybrid biology, but your work with its frequencies is unprecedented. Reynolds clapped Edward's shoulder. You're turning a weed into a weapon, Kane, but the Iron Covenant's got tech we haven't seen, cloaked drones, EMP spikes. We need your engineering to lock down the summit. The summit preparations were a race against time. Edward welded energy dampeners into the biodome's supports, reinforcing their structural integrity while integrating Luma's counterfrequencies to neutralize toxins. Nura trained with Tissa's warriors, her cybernetic speed dazzling as she sparred, Hope safe with a trusted Siren medic. Their neural link allowed them to coordinate seamlessly, Edward sending structural updates, Nura relaying tactical insights. In quiet moments they stole kisses, their bond amplifying every touch into a shared pulse of love. And purpose, you're my foundation, Nura murmured one night, her fingers tracing his scars. And you're my spark, Edward replied, their intimacy a defiant celebration of life amidst the threat. The summit began in New Haven's council chamber, a crystalline dome overlooking Thalara's glowing cliffs. Delegates from human colonies and Siren clans gathered, their hope tempered by fear of the Rogue Alliance. Hope, carried by Nura, drew awed whispers, her prophecy mark a beacon. Edward stood guard, his drone scanning for threats, his multi-tool ready. The attack came at dusk, cloaked blade operatives and Iron Covenant mercenaries breaching the biodomes with biodisruptors and EMP spikes. The chamber erupted, toxins clouding the air, drones sparking. Edward and Nura moved as one, their link a symphony of instinct. Edward welded a collapsing dome support, saving delegates, while Nura's rifle stunned attackers, Luma's frequencies neutralizing toxins. Reynolds' crew manned barricades, Tissa's warriors clashing with blade operatives in a blur of blades and plasma. A Covenant leader, clad in powered armor, targeted Hope, his EMP spike aimed at her cradle. Edward tackled him, fusing his armor's joints with a plasma torch, while Nura shielded their daughter, her legs a whirlwind of motion. "You won't touch her," she roared, her voice a primal force through their bond. Luma's glow intensified, its fronds releasing a counterpulse that disabled the remaining disruptors, saving the chamber. The attackers were subdued, their leaders captured. The delegates, shaken but inspired, signed the Thalara Accord, a formal alliance recognizing hybrids and shared tech. Hope's coups echoed, a symbol of unity. In the aftermath, Edward repaired the biodomes, Nura by his side, their bond humming with pride. "We built this," she said, kissing him, Hope giggling between them. But intercepted comms revealed a larger threat. The Rogue Alliance's masters, a shadowy group called the Obsidian Veil, were planning a galactic strike. "We'll forge a galaxy where Hope is safe," Edward vowed, welding a new drone. Nura's hand found his, their link a promise. The Starforge prepared to depart, their family ready to face the shadows and build a lasting peace. The Starforge cut through the void toward the uncharted fringes of the midrim, its patched hull vibrating faintly as it navigated a dense asteroid field cloaked by the shimmering haze of the Nebula of Sorrow. The shuttle, a testament to Edward Kane's engineering prowess, bore fresh welds from Thalara's repairs, its durasteel plates reinforced to withstand the region's ion storms and pirate ambushes. Inside, the command bay was a cramped haven of activity, its air thick with the metallic tang of fabrication tools, the hum of recycled oxygen and the organic musk of Luma, the sentient plant whose bioluminescent fronds cast a soft glow across the consoles. Beyond the viewports, the nebula's violet and gold swirls concealed their destination. Obsidian Station, a clandestine outpost rumored to be the heart of the Obsidian Veil, the shadowy cabal orchestrating the rogue human-Siren alliance. For Edward, Nura Valor, and their daughter Hope, this mission was their most perilous yet, a strike to expose the Veil and secure a galaxy where their hybrid child could thrive. Edward stood at the central console, his work suit smudged with welding flux, his green eyes narrowed at a hollow schematic of Obsidian Station pieced together from intercepted comms and Tissa's scout reports. His multi-tool, now modified with a plasma torch and EMP pulse emitter, rested beside a rack of microdrones upgraded with Luma's counterfrequency tech to detect cloaked enemies. As a construction engineer, he'd built fortified outposts under fire and repaired collapsing structures on frontier worlds, but dismantling a fortified station required precision, a weld of strategy and brute force. Through his neural link with Nura, he felt her steady presence, a warm pulse of resolve and love that steadied him against the storm ahead. "This station's a fortress," he said, tracing the schematic's labyrinthine corridors and shielded reactors. "Reinforced durasteel, automated turrets, and biolocked vaults. We'll need to infiltrate, not storm it. I can weld us an entry, but we'll need Luma to jam their security grid." Nura sat nearby, her pale green skin shimmering under Luma's glow, her silver-white hair braided tightly with bioluminescent beads that pulsed in sync with the plant's fronds. Her black combat suit, modified for combat and diplomacy, hugged her form, her cybernetic legs gleaming with Edward's craftsmanship. Hope played at her feet, her silver-brown curls bouncing as she giggled, her shifting eyes, ice blue to hazel, sparkling with curiosity. The prophecy mark on her shoulder, a swirling pattern of green and silver, seemed to glow faintly, a reminder of her role as a symbol of unity. Nura's ice-blue eyes met Edward's, a spark of affection passing through their bond. "You build paths where none exist," she said, her melodic Siren accent laced with pride. "My people fight with blades, but you forge futures with tools." She knelt to scoop up Hope, kissing her forehead, then stood, her hand brushing Edward's. The touch sent a jolt through their link, a shared current of desire and purpose. "Hope believes in you, my builder, so do I," Edward grinned, feeling her warmth through their bond. "Keep talking like that, warrior princess, and I'll weld us a private bunker instead of a battle plan." Her laugh, bright and musical, filled the bay, but their bond carried a deeper current, love, trust, and a fierce determination to protect their daughter from the Veil's threat. A calm ping interrupted them. Commander Tissa patched through from a siren scout vessel trailing the Starforge. Valor Kane, we've confirmed Obsidian Station's coordinates. Tissa's voice crackled, her silver eyes sharp on the hollow feed. The Veil's leaders, a human warlord named General Varkes and a siren elder called Cypher, are coordinating a strike on multiple systems to reignite the war. They've got bioweapons, cloaked drones, and a neural disruptor to sever bonds like yours. You're en route with a small fleet, but you're the spearhead. Foreman Reynolds, joining the call from Thalara Prime, added, our intel's spotty, but the Iron Covenant's supplying the Veil with tech, EMP cannons, anti-hybrid toxins. You'll need to hit their command center before they launch. My crew's ready to back you, Kane, but it's a suicide run without your engineering. Nura's expression hardened, her hand tightening around Hope's cradle. The Veil seeks to erase our daughter's future, she said, her voice low. Cypher betrayed my clan for power, and Varkes fears hybrids as a threat to human purity. They'll find no mercy from me. Through their link, Edward felt her warrior's fire, a blaze of protectiveness that mirrored his own drive to build a safe world for Hope. Then we tear their fortress down, Edward said, his engineer's mind mapping the station's weak points, ventilation shafts, reactor cores, structural seams. We infiltrate, disable their disruptor, and broadcast their plans galaxy-wide. You ready, Nura? Her smile was predatory, her cybernetic legs humming as she stood, Hope giggling in her arms. Always my builder. Their bond pulsed with her exhilaration, a warrior's thrill matched by Edward's resolve to construct a lasting peace. The Starforge docked in a concealed asteroid crater near Obsidian Station, its stealth plating welded by Edward masking their approach. The station loomed like a jagged scar against the nebula, its black durasteel hull bristling with turrets and shielded by cloaking fields. Disguised as maintenance workers, Edward and Nura infiltrated through a service tunnel, Hope concealed in a shielded sling, Luma's container hidden in Edward's pack. Edward welded the tunnel open, his plasma torch silent under suppressors, while Nura used Luma's frequencies to jam sensors, her movements fluid and precise. Inside, the station was a labyrinth of sterile corridors and glowing biovats, where the Veil's weapons churned toxins designed to target hybrids, neural disruptors to sever bonds. The air was cold, heavy with the hum of machinery and the faint scent of chemical agents. Edward's drones scouted ahead, detecting cloaked guards, while Nura hacked security consoles, her neural link sharing tactical data with Edward in real time. Varkes and Cypher are in the command core, she whispered, her rifle ready. We need to move fast. The infiltration was a masterclass in coordination. Edward welded traps, collapsing panels, EMP spikes to slow pursuers, while Nura's speed dispatched guards with stun shots. Their bond made them a seamless unit, anticipating each move. But a trap sprung, automated turrets and Veil enforcers ambushed them in a biovault. Edward fused a turret circuit, sparks flying, while Nura shielded Hope, Luma's glow countering a toxin cloud. Through their link, Edward felt Nura's pain as a disruptor grazed her, threatening their bond. Stay with me, he sent, welding a barrier to buy time. Reynolds and Tissa's fleet arrived, engaging the station's defenses outside, their comms crackling with updates. Kane, we're taking fire, Reynolds shouted. Get to the core. Edward and Nura fought through, reaching the command center, a domed chamber where Varkes, a grizzled human in powered armor, and Cypher, a siren with crimson eyes, stood before a neural disruptor. Your abominations, Cypher hissed, activating the device. Hope cried, her prophecy mark glowing, and Luma's fronds pulsed, neutralizing the disruptor's signal. Edward welded Varkes' armor to the floor, while Nura stunned Cypher, her legs ablur. Tissa's warriors stormed in, securing the core, while Reynolds' crew hacked the station's comms, broadcasting the Veil's plans, proof of their treachery across the galaxy. The station's self-destruct triggered, forcing a frantic escape. Edward welded a path through collapsing corridors, Nura carrying Hope, their bond a lifeline. They reached the Starforge as the station erupted, the nebula swallowing its wreckage. Safe aboard, Edward and Nura held Hope, their link humming with relief and love. We built our future, Nura murmured, kissing him, Hope cooing between them. But a final intercepted message revealed a deeper threat. The Veil's true master, a figure known only as the Architect, was still at large, plotting from the shadows. We'll find them, Edward vowed, welding a new drone. Nura's hand found his, their bond a promise to forge an unbreakable galaxy for their daughter. The Starforge emerged from the nebula of sorrow, its patchwork hull gleaming under the light of a distant trinary star system, its scars a testament to battles fought and futures forged. The shuttle's destination was Nexus Prime, a sprawling orbital city in the core worlds, a neutral hub of diplomacy and commerce where the galaxy's factions converged to finalize the Galactic Unity Accord. City's rings, a marvel of engineering with interlocking durasteel spires and biodomes, floated above a gas giant's swirling storms, their transparent alloys reflecting the stars like a mirror to the cosmos. Inside the Starforge's command bay, the air was thick with the metallic tang of Edward Kane's welding tools, the hum of recycled oxygen, and the organic musk of Luma, the sentient plant whose bioluminescent fronds pulsed in rhythm with the hopes of a galaxy on the brink of peace or collapse. For Edward, Nura, Valor, and their daughter Hope, this was the final stand, a mission to expose the Architect, the shadowy mastermind behind the Obsidian Veil, and cement a lasting peace for their hybrid child and the world she represented. Edward stood at the central workbench, his work suit smudged with fresh welding flux, his green eyes locked on a hollow schematic of Nexus Prime's central council chamber, a fortified dome designed for high-stakes diplomacy, now a potential battleground. His multi-tool, upgraded with plasma torch and EMP pulse settings, lay beside a rack of microdrones integrated with Luma's counter-frequency tech, capable of detecting the architect's cloaked operatives. As a construction engineer, Edward had built bunkers under fire and orbital scaffolds in chaos, but this was his greatest project, constructing a galaxy where hope could thrive, free from war. Through his neural link with Nura, he felt her steady presence, a warm current of love and resolve that anchored him. "The architect's here," he said, tracing the schematic's security grid. "They'll hit during the accord signing, cloaked operatives, neural disruptors, maybe worse. We need to fortify the chamber, weld in dampeners, and use Luma to jam their tech." Nura stood by the viewport, her pale green skin shimmering under the starlight, her silver-white hair braided with bioluminescent beads that pulsed in sync with Luma's glow. Her black combat suit, now a symbol of unity with human and Siren insignias, hugged her form, her cybernetic legs gleaming with Edward's craftsmanship. Hope, now toddling with uncanny grace for a one-year-old, played at her feet, her silver-brown curls bouncing, her shifting eyes, ice blue to hazel, sparkling with curiosity. The prophecy mark on her shoulder glowed faintly, a beacon of unity that drew both awe and fear. Nura's ice blue eyes met Edward's, a spark of affection passing through their bond. "You build futures from chaos," she said, her melodic siren accent laced with pride. "My people fight for honor, you fight for hope." She knelt to scoop up Hope, kissing her forehead, then stood, her hand brushing Edward's. The touch sent a jolt through their link, a shared pulse of desire and purpose. "Hope believes in us, my builder." "So do I," Edward grinned, feeling her warmth through their bond. "Keep talking like that, warrior princess, and I'll weld us a private spire instead of defenses." Her laugh, bright and musical, filled the bay, but their bond carried a deeper current, love, trust, and a fierce determination to end the architect's threat. A calm ping interrupted them, Commander Tissa and Foreman Reynolds, now aboard a joint human-Siren escort vessel, the Dawnbreaker. "Kane Valor, we've got intel," Tissa's voice crackled, her silver eyes sharp on the hollow feed. "The architect is a Siren elder named Vera, once a High Council member, now leading the Veil from Nexus Prime's Undercity. She's allied with human warlord General Core ex-Confederacy, and they've got a neural disruptor powerful enough to sever every bond in the system, including yours." Reynolds added, his construction gear clanking. "They're smuggling bioweapons into the council chamber, disguised as diplomatic gifts. Our scouts caught their supply line, but Vera's cloaked operatives are already embedded. Kane, your engineering's our best shot. Build us a way in and we'll back you." Nura's expression hardened, her hand tightening around Hope's small hand. "Vera betrayed my clan for power," she said, her voice low. "She sees Hope as a threat to her vision of purity. Core fears hybrids as a challenge to human dominance. They'll find no mercy from me." Through their link, Edward felt her warrior's fire, a blaze of protectiveness that mirrored his own drive to build a safe world for their daughter. "Then we dismantle their plans," Edward said, his engineer's mind mapping Nexus Prime's Undercity, a maze of maintenance tunnels and black market hubs. "We infiltrate, neutralize the disruptor, and broadcast Vera's treachery. You ready, Nura?" Her smile was predatory, her cybernetic legs humming as she stood, Hope giggling in her arms. "Always, my builder." Their bond pulsed with her exhilaration, a warrior's thrill matched by Edward's resolve to forge a lasting peace. The Starforge docked in a concealed maintenance bay beneath Nexus Prime, its stealth plating masking their approach. The Undercity was a warren of flickering lumen strips, rusted conduits, and shadowy markets, its air thick with oil and illicit trade. Disguised as traitors, Edward and Nura navigated the tunnels, Hope concealed in a shielded sling, Luma's container hidden in Edward's pack. Edward welded a service hatch open, his plasma torch silent, while Nura used Luma's frequencies to jam sensors, her movements fluid and precise. Inside the council chamber, a crystalline dome overlooking the gas giant's storms, the accord signing was underway. Delegates from human colonies and Siren clans stood tense, their hope overshadowed by the architect's shadow. Hope's presence, carried by Nura, drew gasps, her prophecy mark glowing. Edward's drones scouted, detecting cloaked operatives. "Vera's in the upper spire," Nura whispered, hacking a console. "Core's guarding the disruptor below." The infiltration was a masterclass in their bond's power. Edward welded traps, EMP spikes, collapsing panels to slow guards, while Nura's speed dispatched operatives with stun shots. Their link shared every sensation, her exhilaration, his focus making them unstoppable. But a trap sprung in the Undercity's core, automated turrets and Veil enforcers ambushed them, bioweapons releasing toxins. Edward fused a turret circuit, sparks flying, while Nura shielded Hope, Luma's glow countering the toxins. Through their link, Edward felt her strain as a disruptor pulse grazed her, threatening their bond. "Hold on," he sent, welding a barrier to protect them. Tissa and Reynolds' fleet engaged the Veil's defenses outside, their comms crackling. "Kane, we're pinned," Reynolds shouted. "Get to the disruptor." Edward and Nura fought through, reaching the spire's core, a glowing chamber where Vera, a Siren with crimson eyes and Core in powered armor, activated the disruptor. "You're a blight on purity." Vera hissed, her voice venomous. Hope's cry echoed, her mark blazing, and Luma's fronds pulsed, neutralizing the disruptor's signal. Edward welded Core's armor to the floor, his torch a blaze of precision, while Nura stunned Vera, her legs a whirlwind. Tiss's warriors and Reynolds' crew stormed in, securing the core, broadcasting the architect's plans, proof of their treachery across the galaxy. The station's alarms blared, signaling a self-destruct. Edward welded a path through collapsing spires, Nura carrying Hope, their bond a lifeline. They reached the Starforge as Nexus Prime's Undercity erupted, the trinary stars swallowing the wreckage. Safe aboard, Edward and Nura held Hope, their link humming with relief and love. "We built our galaxy," Nura murmured, kissing him, Hope cooing between them. Years later on New Aurora, a thriving human siren colony, Edward and Nura watched Hope, now 5, lead a unity dance, her silver-brown hair shimmering under twin suns. Their bond, deepened by years of love and struggle, hummed as they stood on a balcony, Edward's welds reinforcing the colony's domes, Nura's warrior spirit guiding its defense. Luma, now a network of sentient flora across the colony, pulsed in harmony with their daughter's laughter. "We changed everything," Nura said, her hand in his, their link a symphony of love. Edward pulled her close. "Best weld I ever made." The architect's fall marked the end of the war, their family a beacon of unity, forging a galaxy where hope thrived.